Welcome to the English Plaza podcast, where you learn real English and American culture through real-life conversations.
Hey everyone, we're so happy you're here again.
Hey Claire, how's it going? You recover from that super late-night game yesterday?
Ugh, don't remind me. The Knicks lost again, and I stayed up past midnight watching it. I'm still tired.
You really thought they'd win this one, huh?
I always hope. But at least it was exciting. The crowd energy was crazy, even through the TV.
Yeah, I heard the same thing from my cousin. He watched it at a sports bar downtown, said it felt like a tiny stadium in there.
I love that vibe. You can just feel how everyone connects when they cheer or argue about their team.
It's funny, though. When people talk about sports, it gets passionate fast. Sometimes it's friendly, but sometimes people sound like they're ready to start a fight.
Oh yeah, and if you're trying to join the conversation but your English isn't perfect yet, it can feel awkward or stressful.
Exactly. You want to sound natural, but you're also trying to keep up with all that fast talk and slang.
So today, we'll listen to a conversation that happens at a sports bar, where two friends debate whose basketball team will win the championship.
You'll learn how to express opinions, disagree naturally, and keep the conversation friendly, even when you totally disagree.
And that's super useful anywhere. Talking with classmates, coworkers, or new friends when the topic gets a little competitive.
Right, so let's jump in and listen to the dialogue set at a lively sports bar where two friends make their case for their favorite team.
No way the Spurs are taking it this year, man. The Knicks finally have the roster to win it.
Come on, Ryan. The Spurs have way more depth. Wembanyama's only getting stronger, and their defense is insane.
Sure, they've got defense, but the Knicks' chemistry is on another level. Brunson's been playing like an MVP lately.
He's solid, I'll give you that, but the Spurs' ball movement is way smoother. They're not relying on just one guy.
That's true, but the Knicks finally figured out their bench rotation. You'll see. They'll surprise everyone in the finals.
I doubt it. The Spurs have a championship mindset already. Popovich knows how to get them locked in when it counts.
Yeah, but the Knicks' energy at Madison Square Garden is unbeatable. That crowd could carry them all the way.
Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Loser buys the finals watch party pizza?
Deal. Hope you like losing, buddy.
That sounded just like a classic sports bar debate. Two friends who completely trust each other, but still won't back down.
Totally. You can feel the friendly competition, but it's all love underneath. They're teasing each other, not actually arguing.
All right, our first line is from Ryan. He says, "No way the Spurs are taking it this year, man. The Knicks finally have the roster to win it."
So he's not buying into the Spurs' chances at all. He sounds pretty confident about the Knicks.
Yeah, and that word roster is key here. In sports, a roster means the group of players on a team.
Kind of like saying the lineup of players?
Exactly, but roster is the common word when people talk about the whole team, not just the starting lineup. You'll often hear it in U.S. sports, especially basketball and baseball. For example, someone might say, "The Lakers added 2 new players to their roster," meaning they officially joined the team. Or, "They've got one of the best rosters in the league," which means their team has strong players overall.
And fans love to argue about that. Whose roster is stronger? Who has better depth? All of that.
That's totally part of sports culture here. In American basketball talk, people compare rosters and matchups all the time. It's just how fans show passion for their teams.
It's funny because these debates sound serious, but they're really just friendly competition. So Jordan says, "Come on, Ryan. The Spurs have way more depth. Wembanyama's only getting stronger, and their defense is insane." Let's look at that word, depth. In sports talk, when we say a team has a lot of depth, we mean they have many good players, not just a few stars. It's about having a strong bench, players who can come in and still keep the level high.
Right, like in basketball, a team with depth doesn't fall apart when the main starters need a break.
Exactly. You might hear people say things like, "That team's depth helped them win the championship." That means their backup players were still really strong. You could also say, "They have depth at every position," meaning every spot on the court has more than one reliable player.
That kind of depth is what keeps games exciting, because anything can happen if the bench is just as good as the starters. Ryan says, sure, they've got defense, but the Knicks' chemistry is on another level. Brunson's been playing like an MVP lately. Let's focus on that word chemistry first. In sports talk, chemistry means how well teammates work together, like how they understand each other on and off the court. It's often used when players have great teamwork. We say a team has good chemistry, Or there's strong chemistry between the guards. For example, you can tell the players have chemistry because they move the ball smoothly. That means their teamwork looks natural and easy. Or the new player still needs time to build chemistry with the rest of the team, meaning he's still learning how to fit in. Now, what do you think it means when Ryan says, on another level?
Maybe he means the Knicks are playing somewhere else, like physically on a different level?
Not quite. On another level is an idiom that means they're performing much better than others, really standing out. So if someone says, her cooking is on another level, they mean it's unusually good, better than what you normally taste. That's the same idea here. Ryan thinks the Knicks' teamwork is miles ahead of the competition.
Jordan says, he's solid, I'll give you that, but the Spurs' ball movement is way smoother. They're not relying on just one guy. Let's look at the phrase, I'll give you that. It means, I agree with that point, or you're right about that. People often say it in debates or friendly arguments. For example, you could say, your plan isn't perfect, but I'll give you that it saves time. Here, you're admitting the other person made a good point. Now, what do you think it means when Jordan says the Spurs aren't relying on one guy?
Maybe it means they don't trust that one guy anymore?
Not quite. Rely on means to depend on someone or something. So if a team relies on one player, they depend too much on that player to win. You can also use it in everyday life, like, I rely on my morning coffee to wake up, meaning it helps you start your day.
Makes sense. Jordan's pointing out the team works together instead of depending on a single star. Ryan says, that's true, but the Knicks finally figured out their bench rotation. The phrase bench rotation means the planned pattern of which players who usually sit on the bench get to play and when.
So it's like how the coach decides who comes into the game and who gets a rest.
Exactly. Coaches use a bench rotation to keep their players fresh. You hear this phrase a lot in sports, especially basketball. For example, someone might say, the coach changed the bench rotation to give the star players more time to recover, meaning the coach adjusted how backup players are used. Or, their strong bench rotation helped them win despite injuries, which means their substitute players performed well and supported the team.
So when Ryan says that, he's suggesting the Knicks finally organized their lineup well enough to surprise people later on. Jordan says, I doubt it. The Spurs have a championship mindset already. Popovich knows how to get them locked in when it counts. That's such a confident comment. Let's look at that phrase, locked in. Alex, if you hear a coach say a team is locked in, what would you think it means?
Maybe like they're stuck in a bad way of playing? Like locked into a routine they can't change.
Nice try, but not quite. Locked in is slang for being fully focused and ready. It means the team is mentally sharp, paying attention, and totally in the zone. For example, you could say, she was locked in before the big test, meaning she was focused and ready to do well. Now the other phrase, when it counts, means during the most important moment, like the final play or a decisive game. So if someone says, he performs best when it counts, that means he's great when the pressure is high and the result really matters.
That fits the Spurs perfectly. They always seem to focus best right when the game's on the line. Ryan says, yeah, but the Knicks' energy at Madison Square Garden is unbeatable. That crowd could carry them all the way. What he means is that the fans in New York make a huge difference when the team plays at home.
Madison Square Garden is such a famous arena. People there are loud, excited, and totally behind their team. It really pumps up the players.
Exactly. In American sports, folks often talk about the idea of a home crowd giving a team a lift. A big, noisy crowd makes the players feel confident and motivated to play their best.
Jordan says, guess we'll just have to wait and see. Loser buys the finals watch party pizza. Here, the phrase watch party means a get-together where people watch a game or show together, usually on TV. It's common during big games, like the NBA Finals.
So basically, instead of going to the game, everyone meets at someone's place, orders food, and cheers like they're at the arena.
Exactly. You'll often hear people say things like, we're having a watch party for the championship, or I'm hosting a watch party on Saturday night. Both mean friends come over to watch the same thing together. In the US, big basketball games or the Super Bowl often inspire watch parties. People might make small bets, like who buys the next pizza or brings the drinks. It's all just for fun.
It shows how watching sports here is really social. You might not even care which team wins, but it's a good excuse to hang out with friends. Ryan says deal. Hope you like losing, buddy. This sentence sounds playful, not mean. He's agreeing to the small bet and teasing his friend at the same time.
When he says, hope you like losing, it's friendly trash talk. In sports bars, people use lines like that to keep the vibe fun and competitive.
Right, and calling someone buddy here makes it sound even more casual. It's a common word guys use when joking around, especially among friends.
So even though the words are about losing, the tone shows they're joking and excited for the game.
So that was Ryan and Jordan having some friendly competition over who's going to win the finals, Knicks or Spurs. You can really hear how they use jokes and casual language while disagreeing.
Let's play it once more. Try listening carefully, or even shadow the speakers to practice their natural rhythm and tone.
No way the Spurs are taking it this year, man. The Knicks finally have the roster to win it.
Come on, Ryan. The Spurs have way more depth. Wembanyama's only getting stronger, and their defense is insane.
Sure, they've got defense, but the Knicks' chemistry is on another level. Brunson's been playing like an MVP lately.
He's solid, I'll give you that, but the Spurs' ball movement is way smoother. They're not relying on just one guy.
That's true, but the Knicks finally figured out their bench rotation. You'll see. They'll surprise everyone in the finals.
I doubt it. The Spurs have a championship mindset already. Popovich knows how to get them locked in when it counts.
Yeah, but the Knicks' energy at Madison Square Garden is unbeatable. That crowd could carry them all the way.
Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Loser buys the finals watch party pizza?
Deal. Hope you like losing, buddy.
All right, this is our recap session, so let's look back on what we just heard between Ryan and Jordan.
Yeah, that basketball debate got pretty lively. They talked about which team might win, but they used some great everyday sports words too.
Totally. One of my favorites was roster. It means the group of players on a team. You'll hear that word not only for sports teams, but also for work teams or event planning, like a staff roster.
Right, and I liked how Jordan talked about depth. That's when a team has more strong players than just the starting ones. In life, we might also say a company has depth if lots of people there are talented.
Ryan also said the Knicks' chemistry was on another level. Chemistry means how well teammates work together. You could use it to talk about coworkers, friends, even band members, anyone who needs teamwork.
Exactly. And remember the phrase locked in? When Jordan said the Spurs were locked in, it meant they were really focused and ready. You might say you're locked in when you're studying hard or preparing for something important.
And I loved I'll give you that. It's such a natural way to agree a little, even when you mostly disagree. Very useful in friendly arguments.
Yeah, it keeps the tone polite and natural.
So all these expressions, roster, depth, chemistry, locked in, I'll give you that, they help you sound more natural when you talk about teamwork or focus, not just sports.
Couldn't agree more. Now that we've recapped the key points, are you ready to test what you remember?
Here comes the quiz, right after this short break. Question 1. In basketball, what do we call the full group of players who make up the team for the season?
That's the roster. It means the whole list of players on the team. For example, the coach changed the roster before the new season started. Question 2. A coach says, "We have strong starters, but our backup players are also really good." What word describes how many good players they have?
That's depth. It means having strong players beyond the starters. Like, the Lakers have great depth this year. Question 3. What do we call it when players on a team naturally work well together and understand each other?
That's chemistry. It's about how well teammates connect. For example, their chemistry helps them win close games. Question 4. Imagine a team that depends too much on its star player. What's a phrasal verb meaning to depend on someone or something?
That's rely on. It means to depend on someone or something. For example, the team can't rely on one player to win every game. Question 5. If you admit your friend made a good point during a debate, what short phrase could you say to agree with that part?
You'd say, "I'll give you that." It's a casual way to agree. For example, I'll give you that. Your team does have great defense. Question 6. Something that's way better than the usual or the rest is described with which idiom?
That's on another level. It means something is much better. People use it when they're impressed, like, her performance was on another level tonight. Question 7. In sports, what's the term for the plan that decides which bench players enter the game and when?
That's called a bench rotation. It's basically a coach's plan for using substitute players. For example, the bench rotation keeps the team's energy high. Question 8. Before a tough game, a coach says, "Stay focused." What slang phrase means being completely focused and ready?
That's locked in. It means really focused and ready to perform. People use it in sports or work too, like, I was totally locked in during that meeting. Question 9. If someone says a player performs best in the big moments, what phrase means at the most important time?
That's when it counts. It means at the time that really matters. For example, she always scores when it counts. Question 10. What do you call a fun get-together where people watch a big game together on TV?
That's a watch party. It's when friends or fans meet to watch a game or show together. For example, we're having a watch party for the finals this weekend.
Nice job, everyone. You really played through that quiz like champions.
So Claire, after all that talk about basketball teams and friendly debates, do you think the Knicks are finally going to surprise everyone this year?
Oh, I still hope so. But after today's dialogue, I feel like I can handle losing a little better, as long as I can talk about it naturally in English.
True. Speaking of natural talk, what's your one big takeaway from today's episode?
I'd say learning to use little phrases like, "I'll give you that," makes a huge difference. It helps you disagree politely and keep the conversation friendly, even during a heated sports talk.
Yeah, that one's gold. It shows respect while you still share your opinion. Listeners, what about you?
We'd love to hear from you. Leave us a comment with the vocabulary word you found most useful and when you plan to use it, or even write your own example sentence.
And don't forget to follow or subscribe to the English Plaza podcast, and leave a quick review if you enjoyed hanging out with us.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Keep your English energy up, like that Madison Square Garden crowd we talked about earlier.
Couldn't have said it better. This is Alex, signing off. See you next time at the Plaza.
And I'm Claire. Take care, everyone, and keep cheering on your English.